All right. Everyone can hear me? Obviously, we know you guys have all been dying for this panel, and you guys have stuck it out for the full day, so thank you. And candidly, I think this panel came together very, very quickly, so we're excited to talk to you guys today. But we have an incredible set of folk up here that pretty much know everything about omnichannel, direct-to-consumer, brand building across categories. I mean, every category is represented up here across apparel and accessories and fine jewelry. So there's a lot of things that I'm sure our panelists are excited to share with everyone today. Just quick, by way of background, I'm Amish Tolia. Actually, this community is very near and dear to my heart. I've been involved with them for 10 to 15, at the founding, I was involved in some of the founding story with both the co-founders. So it's amazing to see how far they've come with their community of 50,000 plus, and I think they did 180 events last year. So incredible testament to them. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a business called Leap. We're basically an omni-channel retail platform. We help brands get into the world of brick and mortar and help them scale their omni-channel strategy. We actually have the good pleasure of being able to work with all of these folks on the stage here. And so let's just start off. We've got some questions. We'll open it up for Q&A at the end. And let's just start off with, can we all introduce ourselves? Role, name, role, company, and sort of your span of control inside your businesses. And Bill, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll start. Bill Carrig, President CEO, President COO, Little Words Project. Brand, we're a kindness company focused on promoting self-love, inclusivity, positivity through our customizable, trackable jewelry, bracelets, most notably our original Little Word bracelet that we've been selling now for 10 years. So the business has been around for 10 years. I've been in the business for 3 years, just about officially, unofficially over 10 years. I'm actually married to the CEO and founder, my wife, Adriana. And yeah, my day-to-day activities are pretty much running the day-to-day activities across all of our channels, most notably our retail channel.
All right.
I'm Sarah Sate, Chief Revenue Officer of Notum. Actually, also Chief Revenue Officer of Package Free and Ivoriella. So Notum operates in an interesting structure where we have invested in and or acquired multiple other e-commerce and omni-channel brands. So Notum is the largest brand in our portfolio, but I actually work with the other brands across our portfolio as well. I oversee basically everything, all of our revenue generating channels, from digital marketing to physical retail to our wholesale operations as well, so our sales teams. And we sell, from kind of across the spectrum, from huge multi-brand retailers and department stores down to small specialty stores, and then have been kind of in and out of our own physical retail environments as well. I've been with the company going on 2 years. Prior to this, I have worked with very early stage retail companies as well as the likes of Amazon and Walmart, so kind of up and down the chain.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Tejas Shah. I'm the CEO of Grown Brilliance. Grown Brilliance is a relatively new company. We've been in business for 2 years. We sell sustainable lab-grown diamond jewelry, primarily made in recycled gold. And my role, pretty much, we started bootstrapped, so it's from marketing to CEO to every aspect of the business. And with 2 years of exponential growth, we've now kind of tapped into retail with 8 locations across metro cities across the US just in the last quarter. I'm excited to share and learn more on the panel.
Thanks.
Ronnie DeMichael, President of Paper Planes, a men's streetwear brand. Our mantra is the paper plane teaches you to imagine. Once you dream, you set your intentions. This is what I want, where I want to go. So we're about inspiration, determination, and imagination. And we want people to dream and people to dream big. That's our experience. I manage direct-to-consumer, retail, wholesale. I've been with the company for 23 years. Paper Planes is now in existence. This is our 10th year anniversary.
All right. So we have an incredibly diverse set of competency up here, folks that have been across scaled retailers, smaller upstarts, and have seen a good number of things, I suspect, right, across channels. And one of the interesting things, I mean, you know, this discussion's around the future of retail and commerce. And there's a whole lot of talk around omni-channel and the role of direct-to-consumer businesses in the world of omni-channel. There's a lot of discussion around what is the future look like around direct-to-consumer businesses, you know, particularly in a sort of a turbulent macroeconomic environment, and also in the face of sort of rising online costs. You know, and as you guys think about, you know, I've heard from multiple of you guys now that you kind of oversee, you know, across different channels. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about channel strategy, channel diversification, how you think about getting them to work in concert with each other? Because I'd suspect that all of you guys service a slightly different consumer. And so how do you find that consumer and, you know, ensure that you can engage with them the right way across channels? So, you know, we can start maybe on this side. Ronnie, if you want to start, and then we can move down this way.
Our consumer is, we engage through social media. So it's our business is run on content. I mean, we need to create a massive amount of content every day to drive business. We constantly look to, you know, for new ideas and working with different people in ways to promote the brand through social media, and then deliver that experience through direct to consumer and in the retail environment, and be consistent.
Yeah.
So for us, we sell engagement rings, very important purchases in purchase decision in someone's life, probably the most expensive thing that they probably buy that year. So again, sending that message and that experience in store, extremely important for us. And in the short span that we've been open, we're seeing probably a 40% higher AOV in store, just because I think there's that element, the human element, and the ability to show them what we're selling them. So,
Absolutely. So it's interesting because when you think about the consumer across channels, I would say for us, the most valuable consumer in terms of frequency, loyalty, lifetime value is that, you know, e-commerce DTC consumer. However, as Amish was referring to, it is more and more expensive to fill that funnel and find that consumer. And I think what we've seen is the diversification of channels has really enabled just the propagation of brand awareness. So we, Notum is a cashmere company, and
I'm wearing their sweater right now.
I am too.
So there you go.
And we sell, you know, on Shopbop, Nordstrom, Saks Fifth Avenue. We have programs with Saks Off Fifth, you know, across men's and women's. And that's really important to us to drive that brand awareness. Obviously, when that consumer is on, you know, one of those multi-brand retailers, they have many different choices. They may choose you one season, they may choose another brand another season. But for us, being in that neighborhood is really important to set that sort of brand image, you know, kind of the neighborhood, the brand neighborhood that you want to be a part of, and the consumer that you want the chance to speak to. I spent quite some time at Shopbop and would kind of understand how brands, especially when they were looking to introduce themselves to our consumer segment, were so excited to, you know, do marketing campaigns with us, et cetera. And so I look at that for Notum as a really valuable customer awareness and customer acquisition strategy. And similar to physical retail, you know, we know that in a post-COVID world, people are really excited to be out and about. There's more investment in these live, work, play environments. And I think for direct-to-consumer brands, having the chance to give your consumers the ability to touch and feel your product, get to know sort of who you are, hopefully will bring them to your website and help you create a loyal customer. But I really think that cross-channel strategy is huge to just rise above all the noise.
Yeah, I mean, we think about this a lot, and we think about this through the lens of product offerings, but really experience. One of our taglines as a brand is being the most approachable brand on the best block. In some cases, that's POS at a Target, right? In other cases, that's Bleecker Street, or your social media feed. So with that, we really try to curate the experience and the product offering dependent on that channel. So with our e-commerce business, it's a little flashier, more collabs, more bespoke things, more limited offerings, a lot of custom product. With Target, it's sentimentality, gift giving, trying to catch people with their carton of milk or groceries or whatever on the way out, remind them that they need to buy a gift for somebody. And then with our stores and our retail presence, it's all about experience. And we've learned that a lot over the past couple of years, and turning those stores more into an incubator of experience rather than pushing product like the way we would at a Target or a Nordstrom.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, for a decade prior, when you originally saw direct-to-consumer businesses making their foray into the world of bricks, right, to create that online-offline experience, meet their customer where their customer is, you saw a lot of sort of the experience being at the forefront, and I think you're seeing some of the tide moving towards, okay, experience is paramount. We just heard it on the last panel discussion as well. Experience is paramount, but also getting to sales volumes that justify kind of a fixed cost structure. It's probably a new thing to mostly e-commerce businesses, right? I mean, you've got a variable cost structure in e-commerce. How do you think about, the world of bricks? And so I'm curious, just in terms of like the clicks to the bricks realm, have you seen, if you actually master the idea of having these channels work in concert with each other, do you find that actually the channels independent of one another become more efficient? Right? Like, do you find that your paid ads and social media are now becoming more efficient because you may have this omni working well?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I mean, we do. And, particularly with a brand, you're trying to protect the brand at all costs, right? But then, you have opportunities, like I know I mentioned Target a few times already, but Target, is a national retailer that is got a great brand and ton of presence. We don't have customer data from them, so we have no idea who and where they're buying them, but we do see a lift organically on our social media, through our conversion on our paid ads from that customer. So the more things that we can do super top of funnel, even if it's a sales strategy like a wholesale partnership, you see that benefit, kind of feed through the funnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If anybody else has a thought on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think it's not a coincidence that our top markets are also the markets where we have physical retail presence. I will say, actually, two things. So I heard somebody mention in the last panel, it's the proverbial 6 to 7 touch points before you can convert a consumer. And I think that's really true. And if your physical presence can be one of those touch points, it is not a paid marketing touch point. Obviously, you are paying for it, but it isn't another time that you have to do a social media impression or a paid search click. And it can be a much more valuable touch point as well, and actually cut down on that path to purchase. I know for us, one of the strategies that we are actually exploring in 2024 is looking at markets where we have leading indicators of really high customer value. So we don't have a high penetration necessarily in that market, but what we see from the customers that have organically found us or found us through, the smaller amounts of paid media that we've been doing in those markets, that they have the indicators of being really high quality customers. We are exploring those markets now for pop-up shops, for holiday shops, because we know that that will just serve to make the whole purchase funnel potentially shorter.
Yeah. I've got to imagine, Tejas, in your business, you kind of mentioned the most important decision that somebody may make in a year, right? Making that decision online, right, is one thing. And you certainly have a motion where people are beginning to make that transaction more seamlessly online, thanks to a whole lot of different factors. But have you seen, now that you have 8 stores, you mentioned, over the last 1 year, what's the impact you're seeing online?
So I think when you look at the stores by themselves, they don't mean much at this point because we've been there for a very short while. But just the overall impact when we study a 30 or a 40-mile radius around the stores, the growth is probably 100% over our organic national average. So I think just seeing us around, getting that confidence helps a lot for the consumer to make that decision online as well. And eventually the online customers will come into store. But at this point, we're seeing more of a lift online than in store.
How about that, Ronnie?
So I'm new into the retail environment, but in the last 3 months, but for us, it's a totally new consumer. I mean, the diversity is incredible, and you're gaining, it's about the retail experience that you provide in the store. And that customer experience, and then we probably have like a 75% lift in new customers over the last 3 months, which is incredible. And it's now, where our store is located is in Soho, so we have a lot of travel. So you have people from all around the world, which had no exposure to the brand whatsoever. And now people say, I love this store. I love the experience. I love the product. So that's priceless.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you're well located in a tourist destination, people from all around the world, particularly Soho, the retail capital of the world, right? You're going to find consumers shopping you from everywhere. So actually, it's a good dovetail into, I am curious, you guys as brands, with these particular brands, not your prior lives, you guys have probably forayed into the world of retail over the past, 5 years, call it, right? 5+ years, give or take. Some for Ronnie's case, within the last, 6 months, with this particular brand. What has been sort of surprising to you all in terms of the operational complexity all the way to the value of the customer? So what have been the learnings? That's kind of what I'm getting at. What have been the learnings thus far around the wins, the challenges, surprises, and I'm sure there's a ton, and I think it would be valuable for folks in the audience to kind of hear firsthand.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Surprising, how many variables go into making the right decision. Formulaically, right? Footfall, co-tenancy, the general demographics of the area. Great. Bleecker Street and XYZ store that fit those, characteristics are going to be the same. In a lot of cases, it's not the case, right? There are so many unknown variables, whether how big your brand is or all these other things that go into it, that were very surprising to, particularly my past career was just super formulaically focused, right? And the right decision was a data decision. So you have to have a lot more look and feel to the decision process when selecting new stores. But the one thing that, maybe isn't as surprising, and you were just mentioning it, no matter what, right? The data never lies in the fact that you open a store a year later, your e-commerce business is going to be up, way faster than the rest of it. And that, you hear that all the time, right? But then until you experience it yourself, you're like, okay, well, whether this store is performing at par to what the other stores are, you can start to table that a bit when you add in the fact that you're going to.
And do you see that in full funnel on e-commerce, like traffic and conversion, or just it's a traffic thing?
Yeah, and conversion too. I think the brand identity and recognizing the same brand and seeing it, when you get served that ad, that 6 or 7 point or touch point is just, you're already skipping a few beats there. So that's a couple things.
I would say one thing that comes to mind is there's actually differences in a good way in the product that pops across physical versus our digital channels. We are best known for our original cashmere sweater in our e-commerce business. Under $100, it's kind of the thing that draws people to our website. We have had a more difficult time because we are so known for this 100% cashmere product, branching out into different material compositions because people are so they associate our brand name with cashmere so tightly. When we put that product, and I should say, because they kind of naturally, even if they're not logically coming to this conclusion, might suspect that the rest of it isn't as good. When they come into the store and they can see the raincoat or the puffer jacket or the, what we call our new air spun yarn, which is made of kind of various sustainable tree pulp fibers and is spun in kind of a different way, they're really excited about it in a way that they can't get by just reading and seeing visuals. They understand that, that it still is soft and it's, maybe has a different use case, et cetera. So that's been exciting to us to actually take things that maybe are harder to get across to the customer, put them in store, and start to see them pick up, and then learn from those customers. What else are they buying in their same basket that we can take away to use in digital marketing as well?
So I think to your point, the amount of variable factors that make a perfect retail environment is far more difficult to control than sitting on your desk and fixing product, fixing your development or your UX UI. But I think so the flip side, once you get it right, we have a 500 square feet store that can do 3 million. But then we have a 3,000 square feet store that we can't break 1 million, right? So it's really getting all the variables right to a science and then kind of replicating it with obviously, few more variations in every market. And then it becomes like a machine.
So we're seeing also that product in store is working different from online. It's just, you get to touch and feel it, and it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think many a times some of us, including myself, particularly myself, you overthink some things, right? When in reality, just put yourself in the consumer's shoes, you as a shopper, how do you want to shop, right? And there's certainly for me, when I go into particular stores, if I see something online, I'm like, I could never wear that, right? And I go into Ronnie's Paper Plane store, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to try that on. The fabrication is incredible. I put it on. I'm like, I could have never believed that I could wear this thing. And here you go. I try it on in the fitting room, and I walk out a happy customer. Now, I don't know how much time we have. I think we've got 5-10 more minutes. Can somebody check me on that? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, cool. We want to open it up in a couple minutes. Let me just kind of get the group's sense on, all right, there's macroeconomic environment right now. Obviously, folks are focused in on bottom line, profitability. But you guys are new into sort of this omni-channel strategy, which takes investment, right? The same way when you booted up your e-commerce, it took investment and you needed some time around the ramp period. But you're building this omni-channel strategy inclusive of the wholesale channel. What do you think in the next 1-2 years, prediction-wise, is going to help you guys really achieve, ensuring healthy growth, sustainable growth, profitable growth, right? Because again, to the top of what I was saying, there's all this talk about DTC and, DTC brands are going away. I don't believe that's true, but I'm curious about your guys' thoughts, predictions, what's going to help you get, build a better business over the next 1-2 years?
Additional retail.
Additional retail, okay.
Yeah, more locations. So it's the only way somebody can experience the brand. It's clear. Like, no one can present the brand. Any wholesaler that I sell to cannot present the brand the way we want it and see our vision and see that clearly and have the product assortment the right way. It's also a big learning experience just on the merchandising side because, direct to consumer, you think, okay, I need all these SKUs, I have to do all this business, and you'll just throw things at the wall and try things. When you open a store and you physically see everything in the store, it changes your whole perspective on the brand and how you want to merchandise it.
So for us, it's, I think, frictionless retail. And wherever the consumer wants us to go. I think 2 years out is too long to predict. So we go quarter by quarter. We see how much more retail space we need. And again, we try to keeping the brand experience pretty tight. And we kind of steered away from wholesale because it dilutes, we feel, the experience. And we have less control with the retailers. So as we can figure out the formula for our stores, we'll keep growing them, but keep it primarily online if we can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say two things. The first is definitely, and I think the physical retail plays into this too, but it's brand awareness. We did not invest as much in 2023 in brand awareness, for a whole host of reasons. And I think in hindsight, we're looking at that and saying we missed the opportunity. There's a lot of noise out there. And look, there are a lot of ways to create brand awareness. It doesn't have to always be, multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns, et cetera. There are other ways to get in front of your consumer, but you have to be creative. You have to think about where they are, and you have to be willing to build that top of the funnel. And I think that really can also be, having pop-ups, events, opening stores, doing things that are in their own backyards. And sometimes it's just, smaller activations. And then I think the other thing, to your point around, the world of, or the day of kind of the DTC brand is going away. I think product quality is really key as well. I think everybody on this panel is part of a brand that really invests in product quality. And I think there were a lot of direct-to-consumer brands that were built on social media and kind of, a concept or a gimmick. And when you eventually got down to it, it was cool, but maybe the quality wasn't there to sustain the brand long-term. So I think just continuing to invest in a quality product that keeps the customer coming back is key.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think D2C is on its way up from the low that everyone's talking about right now. I think it's going to be a really exciting next couple of years in terms of acquisition, IPOs. I think credit and funding is going to be a lot easier. It's going to open up a little bit. But as it pertains to our brand, when I started at the company, we were 75% wholesale. So almost the opposite of a D2C company. Now we're 60% direct, and a sizable portion of that is our retail footprint. And I love signing leases. But we're 12 stores now, and I think whereas if you're a young brand and you're bootstrapped to a degree, and you move fast and you love a deal, you have to then take a step back, and that's kind of what we're doing. Is we want to make sure the infrastructure is built. If you enter into a Simon property, right? The footfall that you're going to experience at Simon property is much different than Wynwood, Miami, right? And so the logistics of just running a labor model and a people organization associated to that is all fresh and new. And so I think for us, making sure that you can A/B test online very easily, landing pages, creative, whatever it is, making sure that we're still A/B testing within our own stores to a degree, and being confident enough to scrap ideas and start over, and really make sure that experience is honed in before you go and you sign another 15 leases or whatever it is.
Incredible insight. Okay, what do we have from the crowd? I think we probably have 1 minute for some questions.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time. My name is Jacob Wallach, founder of Social for the Win. I'm really curious, as you guys are leaning more in towards retail, how you look at live shopping experiences and potentially incorporating maybe like a studio inside of your own stores. Maybe it's a back room or a part of the store that you have the opportunity to really showcase your product online as a way to just sell. Is that something you guys are looking into? Is it something you guys are thinking about? And how do you look towards live shopping for the future as you have focused on retail for now? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we've underwritten it as a brand, a bunch. There's a ton of infrastructure and logistics that come along with trying to set that up in your own store. For us, we kind of did the math on it and said, okay, let's pause. And I think the platforms, social platforms, think about TikTok, think about Meta and Instagram, and they're going to get it right before we could ever get it right. And so we're kind of waiting for that wave to crest before we jump into it.
Do you find that your customer, do you have any meaningful differences between your retail customer and your online customer? Other than maybe like some of the assortment they're buying, but are they different people?
In terms of demographics or psychographics, yeah.
Exactly.
For me, it's totally different. A complete different consumer base.
So then how do you, when you're doing broad marketing, then how do you think about those two separate sets and try to...
I haven't even thought about that yet, but that's interesting. But no, because it's, we're a young men's streetwear brand, but I have, people who are 50 or 60 coming into the store and they saw something from the window and they're attracted to it and they're like, this is great. This weekend I had a mom, she came in with her son who was 11 years old. They were from Chicago. They were having a mother-son weekend in New York City. And the little boy wanted a hat, but then the mom bought stuff for herself, which was great. And she's not our consumer.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't target a mom normally.
Exactly.
Right.
I would say ours is fairly similar between our direct-to-consumer and our physical retail. We actually see a big difference with our wholesale customer. And that is actually an aspirational customer for us for our own e-commerce. So it's really interesting to be able to push the envelope on price, on fabrications, on, kind of how we can position ourselves against maybe more luxury brands to see what works and what doesn't work. So it's our wholesale business has been a little bit more of an experimental playground for us, which now has actually informed the development of kind of what we call our Luxe line on e-com too.
Awesome. Okay, I think we're at the buzzer. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you guys for joining.